Yeah.
All right.
That was fun.
And here
Good,
we
Jeremy.
are back at Makin Music. I'm again Jack Van Breen from Guitar Showcase, sponsors of the show. And this week, given that we're recording in June, we thought we'd do a little Father's Day kind of thing. We've got John Epp and his son Jeremy, both of whom I've had the pleasure of knowing quite a few years in their connection with Guitar Showcase. And do a little father-son music there. It's kind of a hip little thing, on the fly, as it were.
Yeah.
Just like we used to back in the day.
Back in the day,
Yes.
exactly
Yeah.
so. John has the distinction of being one of the longest-term teachers we have. I was going to say old, but as you can tell, I'm sensitive to that now.
Yeah.
But we have a couple. I think Jim Bruno's the only one who's been with us longer. Tim Allen might be.
Yeah.
Of course, he takes those radiation treatments. He looks like he's still 12.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
Yeah, how does he do that?
Yeah,
Okay.
But John, when did you start teaching?
Well, yeah, I started teaching probably back in 1974 when I was in college, and I was helping some of my friends that were taking music classes and having trouble and struggling, and so I would help them with their music theory or just with different things like that. And I noticed back then that I actually enjoyed helping them, and they didn't bite my head off. I wouldn't say like weird things or approach it in a way that was made them uncomfortable. And I walked away from it feeling pretty good. So it just sort of escalated from that. I didn't really know at the time that I was going to be like a full-time teacher at that point.
Yeah.
I knew I was a musician because my college education kept getting interrupted with touring and all this kind of stuff.
Oh,
so
cool.
But any rate, I started teaching at, I think the first place I taught at was Maple Leaf Music on
Saratoga?
On Saratoga Avenue
with Bud Dimmick?
Exactly. I started teaching for him.
I took 1 month of lessons from Bud.
Is that right?
It's very educational.
Oh yeah, cool. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
He was a great man.
But I started teaching for him. I went over to Saratoga Music and started teaching a day or two over there. And then Campbell, no, not Campbell Music, but there was another place on Stevens Creek. And I started getting phone calls like, will you come and teach for us? And I'm going, I'm just going, whoa, what's going on with this? Doors keep opening, and I didn't understand what was going on. I was enjoying myself, and it fit nicely with my gig schedule. So.
Yeah, one of the things about teaching is you can jockey your schedules a little bit, which is nice.
That is very true. You're your own boss. So if you don't want to go to work, you just call yourself.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, in about 1975, 76, I moved my business to Kurland's of Music City, which was on Winchester Boulevard, right across from the Winchester Mystery House. At any rate, that was a great 10-year run. I mean, so what I did was I left the other places I was teaching because my schedule was just filling up. And being pulled in different directions and having my office set up in different places, it just wasn't working. So what I did was I just made it an executive decision to teach in one place. And so I set up camp at Kurland's of Music City and was there for 10 years, actually 11 years. And then when the lease ran out and they mowed the place down, I called up my longtime friend Jim Bruno. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. Well, you mentioned it at the beginning. Okay. At any rate, I said, "Yo, Jim, I've got 80 students and I don't know what to do." And he said, "Well, let me think a minute." So at any rate, I brought my students over. That was in 1985. I brought my business to Guitar Showcase, and
that was when it was in the house, right?
That's when it was in the house before the SMI building, where the swap shop and all that stuff is.
I remember helping you sheetrock that room.
Oh yeah, well they didn't have a room for me, right? So I went into let's see, what was it, the kitchen or the bathroom or something, I don't know. But,
I don't remember that either.
We constructed a wall, and so I ended up with a nice little studio, and I was there for several months, and then they tore it down and built up the new building, and I'm still there.
Yeah, I remember I've been associated with Guitar Showcase off and on for 35 years, and so when you said the house, I went, just a second, Jewel Avenue, because Guitar Showcase started in a house a block from where we are located.
This would be the second house. Then.
This is the second house.
Second house,
And
exactly.
House number 2.
the lessons were actually in a mobile home, a mobile trailer
Yeah.
in the backyard.
Oh my gosh. See,
Yeah,
I
and it
remember
was
that.
pretty ugly, but it was what we had.
Yeah.
And then we moved to our new location, and the business grew, and we built the building out. The business grew. The lessons actually started upstairs, and we needed it for storage, so we again kicked the teachers out, and they went into the house.
Right.
We actually had an 8-track studio in there for a little while, and that's when Jim Bruno and I were partnered with that.
Oh,
So
okay.
Jim has the distinction of putting me in a musical situation that earned me the most money. We did casuals for about 3 years, and we hooked up with the tennis pros from Saratoga, so they got all the good gigs. But I digress. This is not about me.
Well, no. This is cool. This is.
But this is about our history and how
Exactly.
we built up.
Sure.
And he started doing the SMI thing and built that up, and you clearly have been a mainstay of our business with the students, bringing the students you have. And you folks don't know this, but people have been waiting 3 and 4 years for an opening with John. He's that popular, which is really kind of nice for us and for his students. And so we've coerced his son Jeremy to take some of that up. Jeremy's also teaching.
Yeah, you know,
How did
it's-
you pick that up? Obviously,
You know,
it's
I
in the
didn't.
blood.
I had no. Just like him, I had no idea that it was going to happen that way. You know, I started working at Guitar Showcase in '97, and just right before that, about a month or two before that, I started taking lessons at SMI with James Robinson, who was on the show a couple weeks back, and. You know, one day I walked over and I had a job at Guitar Showcase, and you know, I kind of was always around a guitar, and it enabled me to get a little bit better at my chops. And 2002, 2003, Gary started kind of bugging me about it. You know, oh, you need to be a teacher. You need to be a guitar teacher. And I honestly, I really didn't have any. You know, I didn't know. I was kind of nervous about the idea of being a guitar teacher because, you know, I don't know. I've seen my dad do it for years, and I always idolized that. And you know, I mean, I remember just begging to go to the workshops. And so it pondered and pondered in my head, and I thought I'd give it a shot. You know, so I started in '03, and they gave me like 8 students right off the bat. And the first month went by like no problems. I loved it. It was, I mean, I could show these kids exactly. I remember the stages that I went through and just relate it to them. And here it is, you know, 3 or 4 years later, and I just started full time, and it's building, and I can't complain. You know, it's cool.
Well, we're glad to have you there. I know you have because of the influence of your father, you have a lot of traditional styles, but you also get into some of the stuff that's even beyond me with the shredding and all that other stuff. Jeremy's our go-to guy when somebody comes in with a Floyd Rose issue. We'll yank him out of class if it's not too difficult, and he'll solve those problems. It's kind of utility infielder for us.
Yeah, working on guitars is also, you know, this guy taught me everything. He'd set me up in the minefield and go into the house.
Yeah, I've noticed none of your guitars seem to be stock. It's they're all modified.
None of them are stock. This is my main practice instrument, and I've got jazz strings on it so that I don't have to beat this thing up and save the frets. But it has I think it's a P94, Gibson P94 in the neck, and a Gibson 500T in the back. And I've got this set up for practicing violin stuff. And yeah, so that's kind of what this is. It's set up for that. And I've got a different capacitor on it, you know, so okay, now we're talking tech. Ugh.
He's got a customized John Epp whammy bar on there.
Yes.
Oh, well, I cut these
at
off.
that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the other one was too long. I couldn't reach the end. So, and this is one of the few guitars that I have that I did not customize, except for the sticker on the back. But this is a I think it's a 1984 or 1986, I'm not sure, Gibson Chet Atkins. And this guitar is wonderful, has a wonderful tone for live performance.
Could you play a little bit for
yeah,
that? Maybe
sure.
demonstrate that? That one's white.
I noticed
I've
that
never
it was white.
seen a white Chet Atkins.
Yeah.
Normally they're natural. You'll see black, but white is extremely rare.
Ugh, okay. Yeah. I won't do the whole song. I'll just do a little bit. Short version.
Very nice.
But it's a fun, it's a great guitar. I enjoy it. It has good recording tone.
Yes, it sounds amazing amplified.
Mm-hmm.
You know, usually you take an acoustic guitar, you amplify it, it sounds really metallic or plastic. You don't get the real natural tones. And it has no body. So it's just
yeah.
very nice piece.
It's from what I've been told, it's mahogany. You know. Ooh, I didn't tune up. That's all right.
It's all right.
But yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah. Funny thing I heard about Chet Atkins a long, long time ago, and this is back when television was in infancies, and they kept trying to get him to go on TV, and he kept trying to get him to go on TV. He says, "No, I can't do that." And they said, "Well, why not?" And he says, "Well, the TV sound isn't very good, and I'm not much to look at." And for years, that's why he wouldn't do TV until the technology advanced to the point where his guitar actually sounded like this one.
Yeah, no, Chet Atkins is a big influence for me. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I suspect Chet Atkins is a big influence on a lot of people who don't know that they're being influenced, because he influenced everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
For him to sit down and practice and to just dedicate himself and to discipline himself to learn all the complicated things and get it pristine, absolutely perfect, note for note, that has inspired me a lot. So that's what I'm searching for.
Yeah, no, I don't think I'll ever go there. I just don't have the patience. It's one of the reasons I taught for about 6 months, and I admire you guys because I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And it's just you have to sit there and help people, and oftentimes they don't want to be helped. And to be able to inspire them is a skill I don't have. So when I see you guys getting all these people excited about it, I really am impressed.
Getting through to them is you know, there's a way to do it.
Exactly,
you know,
so.
that eases the nerves, the tensions.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
make anybody believe they can play guitar. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, I think in honor of the Father's Day thing, you brought in some pictures that I think would be kind of fun to share.
Yeah, these are great.
Let's see if we can go to those pictures now. And I'm looking for them where they went. First of all, this is the CD that you just released recently.
Well, yeah, the CD was released in 2002.
Well, that's recent.
So that's recent. Yeah, to me it is. And this is a completely live, recorded live. There are no overdubs or fix-ups on this thing. So what you hear is what you get. This is Jeremy at X months old. I don't know how old he was behind this.
3 months.
He wanted to play my bass, so I told him where it was, and he went and got it. So that was a '76 Music Man Stingray bass. It was customized. Here he is. He's a year and a half. I don't know how old he was, jamming on looks like some sort of Les Paul Jr. copy with, But he just absolutely loved that. And do you want to say anything, or do you want me to?
No, I remember this guitar. This was a Les Paul copy. I loved it so much because it was like the Randy Rhoads, the off-white, and that's from a very young age. That was my, idol. And drum. I actually started playing drums.
And a lot of people don't know that about you, but he's an excellent drummer.
This guy is a gifted drummer. He's a gifted guitarist too, but just amazing drummer.
I remember my dad one Christmas there was a drum set, and I really didn't know what it was, but when I hit the drums, I knew what they were because I would hear the same sounds in the music that I was listening to. Hey, that goes here, that goes there.
My granddaughter does that at 2, and I kept threatening my daughter with, we're going to get her a drum set. Well, my son-in-law did. So the home has been a little bit interesting.
Here I am with that same bass, probably 12 years later.
Yeah, exactly.
12 or 13
The
years
bass
later.
has grown another pickup.
It's going to another pickup, and the fender decals are off of it. I was really proud of that bass. Well, I still am.
I love that
I've still
bass.
got
That's
it,
a great
yeah.
bass.
It's yeah.
Okay, and John,
Now,
here's
okay,
you.
yeah.
You working.
This is me. Yeah, this is me working. A lot of my students who see this show will recognize this room. This is where I teach, and that's where I sit like 8 hours a day, and that's where I encourage
Do you
people.
have a digital recorder in there that you record?
No, it's an analog.
Okay.
Yeah, this is just a snapshot on a performance. I was in my little suit. This is a American Heartathon. I don't know who took this picture, but there you go.
There we go. Excellent. Now you said you were doing some touring. Was it local clubs kind of touring, or?
No, most of the touring I did was in a big band, jazz band, 20-piece jazz band, and we really got lucky.
Because that's a hard act to sell these days.
Well, back in the day, I started performing with the Blue Saints in August of '66, and
you were in diapers then, right?
I was the youngest member in the band by years, and I really felt out of place, and they made sure I felt out of place. But at any rate, I learned a lot. I was constantly around older, wiser, greater musicians, and I liked that.
Yeah.
It was always humbling, but I always had my ears open and was trying to learn. But a lot of doors opened up. We ended up touring Japan and playing at the Expos in 1970, and
Wow.
so that was an experience. And then we were flown back to Washington, D.C., and we played at the White House. That was for Richard Nixon. So that was an experience to play at the White House.
Yes,
that was,
I can imagine. There's not a lot of guys who have that on their resume.
Exactly. Well, but it was just a wonderful learning experience. So, and I've been doing weddings and company parties and stuff like that. So ever since,
The money
teaching.
makers.
Well, yeah.
Everybody
yeah.
talks about playing the hip clubs and stuff, but most people don't realize that half the time you walk away from those gigs owing money.
Yeah.
Whereas if you can play a more diverse style where you can play some of the standards and some country and some Western and some hip hop and all that,
Yeah.
you can make a decent living playing weddings and corporate gigs.
Yeah.
The band I'm working with now does a lot of that, and I let somebody else book it, so I just show up. But it's nice to
That's awesome.
show up and get $100 as opposed to struggle and get 30.
Exactly.
That's like me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but
You're young.
We all have to go through that.
Well, you
know,
have
that's
to.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
I
part of the
played
experience.
I played in the nightclub scene for maybe 10 years, but then I had to get out.
Yeah.
So yeah. Absolutely.
So why don't we do, Jeremy, if you could demo a little bit of some of the stuff that you do.
Some of the stuff I do?
Yeah.
All right.
Some of our more consistent viewers have seen you before.
Well, I do most of the metal stuff. A lot of kids ask me about Pantera and Ozzy and Van Halen and all that stuff, which is awesome because it's what I love. And so a lot of times I know it already. There's a riff from Pantera called "Cowboys from Hell." It's off their first record, and it's the riff everybody wants to learn. And I can demonstrate that for you real quick here. It's at the 12th fret, and it's kind of like a minor pentatonic lick, but it goes like this. It goes, and the thing that makes that tough to a lot of people, because it's strict alternate picking. You can't miss. You got to go down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. You know, you've got to do that. And then what he does is,
And changing strings at the
Yeah,
same time.
yeah.
That always throws me off.
and so that in itself is a really good practice, you know. And then, you know, that kind of stuff. And then a lot of people also ask me about the intro to Panama. And that right there, the key to Panama is, you know, of course, if you're over 21, you know, you got to drink a beer or two, get kind of loosened up a little bit. A lot of it's upstrokes. So. That kind of stuff. The upstrokes are what make it sound like Eddie. You know, if you do them all in the down position, you'll get it to sound close. But some of those upstrokes are kind of ghost notes too that fit in there. And so that, and, you know, Crazy Train and just that kind of stuff. You know.
Yeah. The ghost notes is something that they all stole from Rocco with the Tower of Power, but nobody talks about
There
it.
you go. Yeah, you know, I mean, there's an origin for everything. You know.
That's true. You know, if you chase it all back far enough. Did you guys have anything else that you might have worked up for us, perhaps?
You know, I don't know. We can do some free jamming. You know.
We don't have anything worked up, but it's just fun to play.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you do some of that for us?
Are we in tune?
Close enough.
Yeah, that's it.